welcome back. Today I want to share with you the quick everyday look that I have been wearing and the products I purchased from the Sephora sale. Let's get cozy and get right into this video. I am going to be using the Laura Geller Original Spackle Primer. This is a clear gel primer that does a really nice job at adding a shot of hydration to the skin while blurring and smoothing the skin. If you are someone who's tried smoothing primers in the past and you find products like that too silicone heavy and they kind of make the skin feel a little too greasy for your personal preference, but you would still like some blurring and smoothing, you might really enjoy something like the Laura Geller. While I give my primer a moment to dry down, let's go over the sunscreen products I'm using today. I decided to give my beloved APLB. It's a sunscreen I featured in my most recent morning skincare routine video. Absolutely love that sunscreen, but I do have some other open products in my collection, so I needed to give that a break and revisit some of the other ones so they can get love too. So the sunscreen I'm using on my face, I've applied this in 2 layers. Skin 1004 Madagascar Centella Hyalu-Cica Water Fit Sun Serum SPF 50 plus PA4 plus. This is a really beautiful East Asian sunscreen. This comes from a Korean company, so the filters they use are different than what's available here in North America. And what I love about them is they're thin, they are lightweight on the skin, and they do not burn my eyes or sting my skin like a lot of Western chemical filters can do. On a side note, I don't know what I'm gonna do about linking products. With all of the craziness going on in the US and shipping and that tariff stuff, I don't know how I'm gonna go about linking products because I would still like to create helpful links for other people, but I don't want to link to somewhere where you are gonna have to pay an excessive amount of duty or shipping. So give me time, I will figure that out, just because I like to have links to make it easier for you to find products. On my neck, I am using the Naked Sundays Cabana Clear Water Gel Lotion. This has an SPF 50. I purchased this a while back when I was at Target in the US, and this is a Western chemical sunscreen. This features homosalate, octosalate, and avobenzone. This is the most similar to something like some of my favorite Japanese sunscreens, like the Can Make Mermaid Skin Sun Gel or the Biore Watery Essence sunscreen. This is the most similar texture, but the big difference with this does sting my face and my eyes. Oh my goodness, this stings my eyes like nothing else, but it is beautiful when applied on the neck and chest. That's what I have on my neck and chest today. Once those 2 layers dry down, I like to add a 3rd layer of sunscreen, but this sunscreen, I like it to have a little bit more of a cosmetic property. And this is something I touched on in my skincare video, but I didn't demonstrate because this is more of a step I do on days when I'm wearing makeup because I like the sunscreen step that acts like a makeup primer. Heimish Artless Glow Base. This is an SPF 50 plus PA3 plus. Heimish is a Korean beauty brand, and this uses again those East Asian approved sunscreen filters that do not burn or sting my face or my eyes, and this gives a really beautiful glow. If you were someone who loved that pearly shift of the original MAC strobe cream, that slightly pink white iridescent shift, you would love this. It's one of my absolute favorites. And then on my neck, I did a layer of the e.l.f. Whoa Glow Suntouchable Broad Spectrum SPF 30 Sun Protection Plus Makeup Primer in the shade Sunlight. This is like e.l.f.'s alternative product for the Super Goop Glow Screen, except it's a lot more affordable. Hard to find here in Canada, so you either need to order it from a US-based company or a US-based website like iHerb, or you can bridal order it from the e.l.f. Canadian website, but again, it's a little tricky whether you're able to have it shipped or not. I've had days when I'm able to get it here, and I've had other days where I wasn't able to ship it to Canada, so it's a little bit of a gamble, and I've not seen this at any local Canadian Walmarts or Shoppers Drug Mart. But in the US, this is a lot easier to find, and I've had the best luck finding it on sale on either Amazon.com or Ulta's website. For today, I want to start with my eyes because I want to go a little bit more smoky than normal. So I want to be able to blend and clean up with my base makeup. I'm going to start with a little bit of my Huda Beauty FauxFilter Color Corrector in the shade Peach. This is normally what I use around my mouth, but since I'm going to do my eyes first, I want to have a nice bright base. base. And then I'm gonna take the Tarte Shape Tape Ultra Creamy, and this is in shade 16 Neutral. I like to do that in the middle and the other two on the outer corners, so that way I get a nice even brightening effect on the eyelids. Start by blending the color Corrector in, and on the little dot I put on the outer corner, I will take it right over the corner of my brow where I had microblading, because I've changed my eyebrow shape since the microblading just to make it a little bit softer, and now I need to color correct under my brows. Once I have that done, I will have a little bit of that orange color corrector on my brush, and I like to go through and blend out the concealer. You could do this step with a sponge. If you are someone who has drier skin or you're prone to more dehydrated skin, then doing this with a slightly dampened sponge, a little bit more moisture to the skin, which can be a great help, because a lot of times when you're layering on a more thin concealer or a color corrector, it can be slightly drying, so it's always nice to add a little extra moisture to the skin. A dry sponge just to press over it, lift off any excess product, but I'm not going to be too fussy with it because I'm not going to set it down with any powders, because I'm using cream shadows to start my eye look, and I just like to use cream shadows for every day because they are quick and easy, so you can create a really polished look without having to put forth a ton of effort. For a collection colorful contour eye pencil, 33 Love Affair. This is like a deep burgundy, and I like to just do some messy dot right along the lash line. If you were able to work with your eyeliner really fast, you can do both eyes at the same time. I like to give myself a little bit more grace with my blending, so I will do one eye, then I'll move to the other. Now I'm going to use a Bobbi Brown Longwear shadow stick, and this is in the shade Dusty Mauve. It's almost like a soft burnished brown meat, more of a grayish mauve shade, and I am going to go right over the seam of the eyeliner. Now I'm gonna switch and grab over a little flat shading brush. This is from a Real Techniques kit, but you can find so many similar brushes, but the Real Techniques brushes are wonderful. They've been favorites for years, and if you are someone who just loves a really great synthetic brush that is gonna last you for quite a while, you can't go wrong with Real Techniques. I really like to start with more of a soft wash, because with my coloring, the colors I like to wear in my clothing, if I go too dark and too heavy, it can just look a little off balance. So let's go ahead and do the other side. 2 videos ago, I shared a life update, and I cannot say, I don't even know how to phrase just how wonderful all of you are. I feel so fortunate and so blessed to have the community that I'm raised to have here on YouTube. You are all so wonderful, and so many of you had so many sweet things to say regarding both like different health things I've had going on, things my husband's had going on. And I also shared with you a little bit about my weight loss struggles and what that journey's been like, and your tips and your stories that you've shared were just so wonderful and so inspiring. And since that video, I've definitely worked on upping my protein and working on adding more weight bearing exercises to my routine, because I was mostly doing Pilates and cardio, and now I've added those weights, and it's only been about 2 weeks, but oh my goodness, like it was just like something switched, and it kind of has pushed my weight loss over the last 2 weeks up half a pound a week. So now I'm about a pound to a pound and a half average. Oh my goodness. And more differently than that, even though that half a pound is not a huge jump, I mean, it is huge. Any type of weight loss is major. I just felt a difference in like bloating's gone down, puffiness has reduced, and there's something that feels lighter, and it's just so inspiring. And I have had so much fun doing like, I mean, I always have my like meetings. I do a lot of like virtual meetings, but when I'm getting ready, I've been going to Instagram and doing like little like little Zoom selfies, and I don't know why, but it's just been so much fun. And on Instagram, a lot of you follow me there too, and you all are just so sweet and so wonderful, and it's just so heartwarming. I know I've said this before, but when I started YouTube, I had no idea what to expect. And then again, just with everything going on in the world, when I opened up and shared with you that I was going through a transitional process, I was also really apprehensive how that could be received. And just everyone has been so sweet, so kind, and it fills my heart with just so much love and gratitude, and just I'm so thankful for all of you. And I love reading your comments. I love replying to comments. Is something I struggle with, not because it's hard or not because I don't enjoy it, but you all put so much effort into your comments, and then you're here, you watch my video, you comment on it, and I don't want to just say thank you for your comment to have a great day. I always like to read it, analyze it, and try to put as much effort into that comment as you have, because your views, your likes, your interactions, they do a lot for me. Those give my channel engagement. They help make more money from ad revenues. Some of you use affiliate links, and all that goes into giving to me, and I am so grateful for that. And I feel like the very least I can do is give you back a heartfelt comment. So when I'm recording this, the Sephora sale has already began. I've placed 3 orders and they were all done in 2 days, because it was like one of those situations where I'm like, this is all I need, and then I'm like, oh no, I need to restock this, and then it's like, I would really like to try this. So I placed my 3 little orders. I'm finished with my shopping, so I will be able to share with you in this video everything that I purchased during the sale. I think the eyes are good where they are. I am going to leave them here for the time being. We're going to move on to the base. For my base, the last couple days I have been dabbling with something different. I've been liking a lot of glow because now I like to go through and mattify my skin with powder. So to start off, I'm going to use a little bit of my e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter in shade 0.5 Fair. The little plastic cap detached from the stopper lid, that is why it looks a little odd. So this is the light cool shade, and I like to place this closer to the center portion. This does have a little bit more of a peachy hue to it, so it does a little bit of color correcting. That is why I do this before I do my proper color corrector. Then I have the shade 01 Fair, which this was the very first shade I purchased, and it was sidelined for a while because it just felt too warm, too peachy. But now I like having warmer, peachier things because they help to color correct around my mouth where I've been going through hair removal, but I still have some shadowing because that will help to knock back the blue purple. And there's been a few comments about more interest in color correcting for different things, and color correction is such an interesting thing because for a while it was so everywhere on social media, and for the most part, in my experience, when I was a freelance makeup artist, even when I did some television work earlier on in my career, I didn't really do a lot of color corrector. For me, color correction was always more of a very specialized case by case thing. It was never something that felt like everyone needed to do. And a lot of times with the right either foundation or concealer or even powder shade, just subtle variants in your shade selection would do all of the color correcting work for you. So that's why I really struggled when I was still doing retail cosmetics, whether I was working at Sephora or MAC. I never really felt the need to tell someone they needed to purchase a dedicated color correct. Fast forward to now, I am definitely in one of those situations where my particular situation calls for a color corrector. And also the market with color correctors is so saturated. It's such a buzzy word, and there are so many that are coming out that you do get curious to try them out. And for some people, you can even use a color corrector as your primary concealer if you choose the right shade. A great example, that would be something like the Bobbi Brown Stick Corrector or the Catrice Potted Corrector. They are more of a pink peach shade, so I'm able to use those under my eyes as a standalone concealer, brightener, and color corrector all in one. If you would like more in depth and you feel like you have a concern that you want to color correct and you can't do that with just a concealer, let me know. I would happily do more about color correcting in a future video. But for the most part, if you've got something that shows up more brown, purple, or blue, shift your concealer product a little bit more on the pink side, because pinks and cosmetics tend to veer slightly more orange, especially in brands like MAC, like the NWs tend to have more of like a pinky orange shift to the undertone. So if you have like dark circles, you can go a little bit more on that NW spectrum to brighten it up. And if you are someone who's prone to a lot of redness, or you have like broken capillaries, you can use something slightly more golden, because that yellow undertone will help to cut through some of the red and neutralize it. Now that I've blended it out, I'm going to use my color correctors. And it's so funny, I'm using my color corrector. I was just saying that you don't really need one, but I have them, and instead of letting them go to waste, I'm going to use them. So Huda Beauty Cherry Blossom, corners of my eye. This is a little bit more pink than I can get away with as a standalone, so I do mix this with a concealer. Next, I have shade Pink Pomelo. I thought this would be my ideal color corrector for around my mouth, but this still has a little too much pink. Cherry Blossom was the first one I purchased. That was too pink. I needed more orange to cut through the blue purple. This was okay, but for the darkest points around my mouth where I'm really blue purple, even though I've got a tint over the skin, you can still see some of the blue purple coming through from the underlying hair follicle. Then I like to go fully orange and knock that back. If you are going to apply your color corrector and you are someone who has more dry skin, or if you're someone who is more mature and you're noticing fine lines, wrinkles, enlarged pores, try to cut back on your layers. If you layer too much, it can get really heavy. So what I like to do is I like to dot things around. Then I will take my concealer, color corrector, put them together. So now a little bit of my Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape, and I will just put a few little dots where I need. This just depends on the day. I have a few concealers. I like to mix and match. If you have one color corrector, one concealer, you are good to go. But if you have different concealers, different color correctors, or just different products in general, always try to mix and match your products, because sometimes those products that you have just kicking around in your collection, you mix them with something else you have, you might create something beautiful. So this is the Tarte Creaseless Concealer in shade 20B. This is the old packaging. It's going strong. When that one is empty, I would love to try the new formula and more of like that shiny rose gold. So now I'm going to continue using my large foundation brush to blend everything out. I'm also a huge advocate for having mirrors around you. So when I'm getting ready, if I'm getting ready here in my office, I have like a vanity mirror behind my camera so I can see myself from a little bit further back. Or if you're in your bathroom doing your makeup, you would have your big vanity mirror. So blend out, and then I like to have something a little bit smaller, a little bit closer, so I can see a little further, because generally what your makeup looks like from up close is not what it's look like from more of a social or conversational difference. I like to see my makeup from different angles, and also that means you can get away with not being as precise, because no one is going to be this close. So unless it's something that you have close relationship with, they really shouldn't be this close to your face. So a social distance mirror will show you what your makeup is going to look like to the general public, which is great. So now that I've patted out that color corrector, I am going to feather and blend out, and it's just taking the residual product that is on my brush and spreading it out. And then now when I take the brush and go under the eyes, this just helps to again clean up that green smoky eye I did. Also, this brush, this is a NYX foundation brush number 3. Jackie Aina has used this brush for years. I saw it on Amazon one day and I was like, I need to try this brush out. I have to say, this is right up there with the large fluffy side of my IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe number 7 Complexion Perfection brush. Beautiful. It's completely optional. I like to use just a little bit of foundation, and this is more so to blend the color corrector with my skin. The Sephora Best Skin Ever Longwear Foundation in the shade 11.5p. Pin size amount on my finger, and then I dot it. If I need a little bit more, I'll just take a teeny tiny bit more, and I will apply that right over the color corrector. So just tiny dots. We are not using a lot of product here. And then whatever product I have left on my finger, I'll take my brush, get up, and then I will use my brush to shear down those dots and spread it. We are stippling the product, so when the brush bounces up and down on that product, it is going to spread it and diffuse it. So it's going to create more of a soft wash, which is gonna help you to blur the lines between where your various different products start and stop. And again, you are mixing and matching. You are technically using more products, but you're using less of the product in those products. So you are gonna get more mileage while using more of the products that you have. Because a lot of us here that watch beauty YouTube, we love makeup. We have way too much product that we realistically go through. So let's try to find ways to maximize our products. That way we're not wasting our money on just letting products sit in drawers and go to waste. One of the products I was really keen to purchase in the Sephora sale is the Tower 28 Get Set Powder Blush. I purchased the shade Malibu Cooler. And what attracted me to this formula, it looks like my pan is trying to pop out. Blush mixed with a setting powder, so it's to blur pores and texture. It's supposed to last. I noticed on the Tower 28 website they did pairings, and that blush was paired with their BeachPlease cream blush in the shade Dream Hour, which I already owned. So let's use a little bit of Dream Hour because I feel like Dream Hour will go really well with this cardigan. For about 6 months I was working at Torrid and I loved it. It didn't work out with my availability, so I ended up leaving. It was so much fun. I hadn't worked in a retail position since 2018 or 19, one of the two. I missed it. I missed interacting with people. I loved helping people. There were so many people I worked with who were just so wonderful, and I feel so lucky I really didn't interact with any unpleasant customers. There was always a few people who were apprehensive. If you were unfamiliar with Torrid as a plus size clothing store, sometimes it's difficult to shop for clothing when you have a bigger body, and it can be difficult. It can be very touchy for people. And when I was helping people shop, I just wanted to help people feel like the most beautiful version of them possible. So it took me a minute to figure out the right type of investigative questioning, because in cosmetics we always have investigative questioning. What is your dream skin? What feature of your face do you love the most? What do you want to enhance? What would you like to diminish? And trying to find similar questions like that when shopping for clothing was really tricky, but in the end I felt like I was able to use similar questions. And also there was something in that space about touch, and touch, especially in today's day and age, it can be so tricky. And touch doesn't have to be a physical touch. It can also be using touching words. So just something like, you look so beautiful. I love how this color makes your skin shine. Oh my goodness, this enhances your figure so beautifully. There's just so many ways we can use words to connect with people and help them feel their most beautiful. Oh my goodness. That is getting me emotional. I've said before, I am a very sentimental, emotional person, and that is so special. Figuring out ways to connect with different people is just wonderful. And I loved getting to connect with different customers and help them find their outfits. And there are still days, and I've been gone from Torrid for about 2.5 months now, and there are days where I still think about some of the customers who I shopped with, because there were some people in that, 6.5 month period, I got to know a lot about them. I got to know about like their travel plans. I got to learn about their family, helping people shop for graduations and homecoming dances, Christmas parties, birthday parties. It was just so special. The powder I'm using is just that big tub of loose powders I mixed together, and I love this powder so much. Let's add a little bit of bronzer. I'm using my Laura Geller Baked Bronze-n-Brighten and Fair, and I'm gonna take a tiny bit of this through my socket. I have to be finished with my makeup in about 10 minutes. So let's get this finished and together, because a good eyeshadow makeup look doesn't take too long. Adding the bronzer to the socket isn't unnecessary, but it does add a nice little something to the eye look. Chanel Le Beige Healthy Glow Natural Eyeshadow Palette. This is in the variation Light, and I am going to take the pale pink. I think the pink will be really pretty, and I am just going to take that right over the eyelid. This is going to be a sheer wash of color. These are not full-bodied, impactful colors. colors, but over that more smoky eye base, it's going to lighten and brighten and just put a little bit more life into the eyeshadow. In a way, it's almost taking more of a wintry eye look and making it just a little bit more springy. I'm gonna take the lightest shade at the top of the palette, and I'm gonna use that to highlight the inner corner of the eyes. I love highlighting the inner corner of my eyes to make them look bigger and brighter. Now, let's try out the Malibu Cooler Blush from Tower 28. I'm gonna use my IT Cosmetics Wand Ball Powder Brush. Oh, picks up a lot of them. Let's tap that off, and okay. That's pretty. It's sheer. It's gonna be a sheer buildable color. Hold on, am I getting patchiness? Okay. No, it is very matte. Wow, it is quite a mattifying formula. If you were someone who does very luminous base and very minimal powder, you might want to make sure to thoroughly set the area that you were powdering and tap off as much of the powder as possible. Although it's pretty, just, yeah, it needs to be powdered. We're using, I'm gonna take a little bit just on the corner of my eyes to blend, and then I'm gonna go back to the brush that I used for my bronzer and powder, and I'm going to soften that down. It's a pretty blush. Initial impression, this doesn't feel like a blush that you need to run out and purchase. I have it, I'm gonna continue to use it. Of the blushes that come to mind, first thing that comes to my mind is the Lawless blush in Daisy Girl. Very similar color, very similar effect to the skin. You get more product and it applies a little bit more easily. Another product I was very eager to purchase in the Sephora sale is the Fenty Beauty Diamond Balm in the shade How Many Carats. I am gonna use this over my eyelids for a little sparkle. I've used it on the cheeks. It's beautiful on the cheeks, but it's definitely more of a evening cheek topper. During the day, we can use a pinch over the Cupid's bow to enhance our lips a little bit. Speaking of lips, I did purchase a Sephora cream lip color. This is the shade 69 Hippie Pink. This is really beautiful. It's a very much a light, bright, light summer pink, gorgeous. But the other day for my friend's birthday, me, her, and another one of our friends, we went to the Lip Lab in the Toronto Distillery District, and we created our custom lipsticks. Mine has this soft blush package. You can see it has my name, Z, with a little sparkle emoji, and we were able to create our custom lip colors. So here is the shade I created. I chose the sheer formula because it is a sheer, more buildable color formula. So that is what the color looks like. I wanted a lip pencil to pair with it that was just a little bit darker. So I am going to be using the Tower 28 One Liner in the shade Paint My Number. And this is a deeper, more movie brown. So I'm going to use this light hand over the lipstick. So that just gives it a little something. It helps ground the color a bit. Another lip liner I purchased just because I was really curious. Julia Adams talks about these a lot. These are the Frack Makeout Club Nude Muse lip liners. I purchased the shade 02, which is described as a warm pink. This is very much akin to my natural lip color. I'll just do a little bit to enhance the rounds of my lip. You won't really see the color. It is close to my lip color naturally, just a little bit deeper and slightly warmer. It is gorgeous and it is quite tenacious to get off. Other than that, from the Sephora sale, I was pretty tamed. I purchased 2 backups of my Ordinary Copper Peptide Serum. I purchased the one size Point Made waterproof liquid eyeliner pen. My Too Faced liquid liner is getting low, so I wanted to try this one. This is in the brown shade called 03 Busty Brown. Leave it to one size to come up with creative names. The other thing I purchased during the Sephora sale was a few small sample sizes or travel sizes of fragrance. I do have one more, but it's in my bag. It's gorgeous. That one is Skylar Sunkissed Dahlia. If you want something that smells like a late spring, early summer, or even late summer, early autumn romantic sunset, Sunkissed Dahlia is gorgeous. I also purchased Jo Malone English Pear and Sweet Pea. Gorgeous. Definitely more of a late spring, early summer fragrance. It's quite light, fresh, gorgeous. Ellis Brooklyn Apple Love. If you are someone who loves that classic Garnier apple scent crossed with like the classic pink rose herbal essence shampoo scent, this is the fragrance for you. Wild Card, which I was just so curious about because I've smelled it in store. It was very fun. It's very fitting with the color of my cardigan today, is the 7 Virtues Candied Lychee scent. This is definitely more of a slightly tropical candied floral, perfect for those summer days when you want something fresh and and fruity has an extra oomph of femininity to it. For today, it is a little bit cooler for this spring day. It's quite windy, so I'm gonna be wearing Narciso Rodriguez for her Musc Nude, which is a warm, creamy, sensual musk. For mascara, I almost forgot it. I am going to use my Benefit Bad Gal Bang. I don't feel like a ton of lash today, so I'm just gonna do a thin coat. And this is something I've really been loving recently is I either have very lashy lashes or more thin, well-defined wispy lashes. There's something about doing a slightly deeper eye like this that I love with a more fine, wispy lash. I just feel like it keeps it feeling a little bit softer, a little bit more youthful. Benefit Bad Gal Bang alone can sometimes smudge on me. Quick slick of the Judy Doll Curling Mascara. This is in the brown shade, and this will just help add a little bit more definition, but also keep things from smudging. That is gonna finish off today's makeup look. I have got to go. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you had a great time. I always love my time with you. Until we see each other again, stay safe wherever it is you are in the world. I will see you later. Bye, y'all.